Alright, so this is a crash course or a relatively quick overview on where to find things inside of our Canvas course. For our Canvas course, we do not have any sort of cover page. When you open up our Canvas course in an internet browser, which is what this is right now, not the Canvas app, but an internet browser, you do go directly to modules, or in other words, you see the bare bones of exactly what's going on here. There's no hidden formatting. Wow, that didn't come out right. There's no nice, pretty cover page here. Anyway, things to note. The most recent two course announcements are always up at the very top. If you want to see all of the course announcements, you can go back here and look at those guys. That way you can find something if you know you thought you read it somewhere but need to go back and reference it. I do have a tendency to forget to make announcements actually physically in class, so I do put in announcements that are sometimes relatively detail heavy in the Canvas announcements here for you. So they're potentially is a lot of information there. If you want to get to discussions of a couple of them that we have, or grades, or any of these other things, you can actually go over here to the side, and it looks like I forgot to get rid of some of these menu options that Canvas automatically updated this semester. So you might not see those bottom ones when you come in the future. Then, best button of all time, I'm not going to use it, but I do want to point it out, is this button right here that says collapse all. What it will do is it will actually take each one of these modules and collapse them so you only see the title headings. It converts this thing from showing everything in the kitchen sink to making it look just like a table of contents, and then you can scroll down easily to find what you want. Again, you don't have to use it, but personally I find it extraordinarily useful. Now, I organize these Canvas pages with the attempt to make it easy to find things. First of all, quick links. These are the things that I anticipated people using the most, or at least they're the things that I would envision that you would hopefully use the most. First thing here is general course information. What you can't see right now, but once I finish recording, this video will become visible, is there's going to be a page here that will also be how-to videos. This video and a couple of others will be housed inside of that page. But here it's got a thing that says office hours and tutoring. This is where my tutoring, haven't updated, need to update this, that has my office hours and specifically the Zoom links to get into them. This is the link to our course Discord server. Typo, oh well. Also links to get to the tutoring center from the math department, as well as the university tutoring center as well, and then other links of general resources down here. And if you ever find a typo or a bad link in Canvas, let me know. This semester particularly, for whatever reason, Canvas wouldn't save some of my edits when I was going through them. This one here links to essentially a blank Ziteboard that if you want to check out any settings or whatnot, or if you pull a new device to play on Ziteboard, you can totally check that out outside of class. This here is a discussion. It'll actually go over, and if you click on it, it only is a discussion board for your groups. In my settings, it shows all the groups, but for you, it'll only attach to your course team. That way, if you need to contact each other after class, you can. For example, if you have an activity and it was on Ziteboard and one person needs to upload it and nobody else needs to, you can talk with each other and be like, hey, did you person upload it like you were supposed to, etc. Okay. Or whatever else you want to do. I also went ahead and put all of our assignments together in 4 different pages by type of assignments. We've got a page that deals with our test. We've got a page that deals with our projects, a page for homework, and a page for our quizzes and activities. Tests, we've got 3 tests. Once the first one starts coming up soon, I will go ahead and update this. Specifically, each of these will tell you when the test is, when we'll review in class for the test, and I'll also, when it gets to be somewhere between 1 week to 2 weeks before the test, I'll go ahead and put up a study guide as well as some sample questions that you can work on as a review for the test itself. Just as a heads up, that review questions for the test will typically count as a quiz, so don't forget to actually do it. They'll typically have unlimited attempts because almost all of the online Canvas quizzes that I do have unlimited attempts. Why? Because they're really purely for practice for you, so you can figure out what's going on, both content as well as other stuff sometimes. When we were an online course, that other stuff would be how to enter stuff in Canvas. That's not really that much of an issue this semester. In terms of projects, we do have 3 projects this semester. If you go to the projects page, it does have a chart that tells you when the project is due, when the revision date is. It gives you a heads up in terms of what topic it's going to cover from the textbook. And then there's 2 links. This semester is actually the first semester I've done the 2 links. So I am highly hopeful that it will work. I now am regretting saying that it was the first semester because I can't reuse this video in future semesters. Well, I probably couldn't anyway with change up projects each semester. So remember, in terms of if you've read through the syllabus, the project does have essentially 2 dates. The due date is when it's actually due. The revision date will be at least a week after I get the projects graded, and it's a chance for you to do any revisions to the project that you want to. Okay, so you turn in your initial project right here, you upload it, that assignment will close. Okay, you will not be, so if it's October 9th, you miss the due date, you're going to have to turn in your project late. You will need to use this assignment right here, which says revised and or late project for your project 1 if it's going to be late. Or if you decide you want to revise the project. Why? Because this one will actually close out on you. If you are able to upload your project to the original one, it will not be counted as late. Okay, so just as a heads up about that. And they should be open now where you can start uploading your projects now if you're working on them early. Here are some directions about your projects. I may put a separate video that says specifics about the projects, but here are the main points on your projects. These assignments in Canvas are set up to handle projects written in C++, projects written in Java, projects written in Python 3. Those are the only coding languages I am currently set up to handle. If you think you want to write it in something else, I'm not opposed to that necessarily, but you will need to reach out and contact me to make sure that I have or can get a compiler so that I can run your project. Now, I will run your project from the terminal in a Linux environment. If you do want to test that, you will need to make sure you can run your project from a command line. Okay? That can still be done in a Windows environment from a command line, but if you do want to actually check it in an actual Linux environment, there are labs on campus that are Linux computer labs. The one I know of for sure, just because it's in Fretwell and my office is in Fretwell, is 319 in Fretwell is a Linux lab. But I know there's others over on the other side of campus. I don't remember the numbers. I'm sure over in Duke and Epic and Woodward, I'm sure. And there should be a link somewhere in here that has a list of all the computer labs, but I'm not seeing it at the current time. In terms of grading, there's a breakdown, and the breakdown basically says you need to make sure that the code works, that you follow the directions, and then half of the grading is actually do your test cases work. This talks about the 2 different dates and what they are, and this talks about warnings of things that you need to make sure that you watch out for to make sure everything works right when I start grading them. First of all, do not use what I am calling menus or infinite loops. What these are some ways of, it's great if you're only doing one program where you run the program, it pops up and asks your user, hey, what input do you want to input? The user inputs the information, you run the program, at the end it says, hey, do you want to enter another number? I can't handle that with my grading script. Don't use it. Okay? It's nice in terms of if you're only running one program, but I'm running many for the entire class. So don't do that. I already have your programs put inside of a loop to deal with test cases. Also, suppose your user puts in input that you don't like. It's not formatted correctly. Error checking at the beginning is a great technique to use. However, don't use it as a menu or an infinite loop, such as a while loop. If the user inputs bad input, you can output, I'm sorry, that's not allowed for this program, and end. Do not have a second question that says, do you want to try again, type thing. Okay? I will apply a 10% off penalty if I have to deal with that. Okay? Because it does break my grading script. If you have a program that asks the user to input multiple things, make sure they're inputted in the exact same order as specified in the project, if such a thing is applicable. And lastly, I do not modify your code. So if something doesn't work, stuff doesn't work. This should be a finished project. This is one of the reasons why you have a revision. So if you do have something dumb that you're like, wow, I cannot believe I did that, like left a comment in front of the line that prints out the output type thing, you'll have a chance to revise it. Please, however, try not to need to use that. Okay, but that's the crash course in projects. Probably should have had that as a separate video. Oh well. In terms of homework, there's some links here. This one jumps down to the actual list of homework. This one goes over to office hours and tutoring help. In terms of this, it does say, hey, what's going on with our web work sets versus our paper homework, because we have two types of homework, one of which is web work, one of which is out of the textbook, with the caveat 2 of our paper homework sets did get converted over to Canvas quizzes at the beginning of this semester. Those are the only 2 that got converted over. Okay? Both of these are due on Thursdays, and there's some extra formatting if you're writing things out of the book. Okay, so a little bit of heads up in terms of how to read this. First of all, due dates, I'm assuming that's relatively straightforward. The hyperlinks will take you to the actual assignment. So for example, let me go ahead and take us over to this assignment right here. Whoops. That one should not have been a web work. That I will fix after this. So I'll go down to this one. You click on the assignment goes over to whatever the assignment is. This one here gave no directions whatsoever. It just has the button to push on to take you over to web work. If there's a WW, it means the homework is over in web work. If there's no WW, this is a homework that's taken out of the actual textbook. So notice the difference here. You click on section 5, and it tells you, hey, from chapter 1, section 5, these are the questions that are assigned for this particular assignment. The directions in terms of how to write out your homework are over here. I didn't go ahead and put everything at the bottom here. And it does tell you when they're due. It does tell you how long I'll take late assignments if you have to do a late assignment. And it also tells you what type of files you can upload. Specifically for file uploads, I can take PDF files and Word documents. Okay, so if you've scanned things in, you will need to do a file conversion over to a PDF or a Word document. Either way is fine. In this page of directions for homework, up at the top, it does give you some links to apps where you can use your cell phone to take a picture and convert it into a PDF. This one here is OneNote if you like writing things on a tablet, and the nice thing about OneNote is you can export it to a PDF. Okay. So that's homework. In terms of quizzes and activities, the quizzes that are Canvas quizzes are already created, except for apparently 2 that I haven't linked yet, as well as some reflections after some of the assignments. The reflections are basically trying to be study aids for you to say, hey, was there anything that I missed in this section? Or was there anything that was awesome in this section? Okay, not so much the second one. It's mainly for you. Okay. In-class activities, I typically have 1 or 2 per topic, depending on how the length of the topic is. And these guys, once we go through them, I'll go ahead and start posting them and their solutions. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet this semester, but that will happen in the future. The quizzes, once they are, they'll be due at a certain time, and then you do have a little bit of time where you can still turn them in late too if you accidentally miss a quiz. And that takes care of quick links. Okay? So these are the main things that I could see you looking at. Okay? Now the next module right here talks about syllabus information. So this one tells you sort of structure of the course, what discrete math is. This one talks about how much time you should be spending in the class. Office hours, this one tells you about how to get the textbook, and this one is a tentative schedule of what I plan to do each day. This is the syllabus written out on a Canvas page, so it's easy to search. If we have to go online, this is tech requirements for that. If you get sick or have some sort of emergency, this is the procedures. This is basically be nice to your classmates and don't cheat for those. And then down here, some general resources, some study strategies of being successful in the course, and some how-tos on Poll Everywhere and Ziteboard, which we've used already in class, and Zoom, which we will only use if we have to do an online class. And then some general links for from the university. Okay? And after those two, everything else is going to be topics. So our first topic was sets, and this one here is indicative of how all of the future topics will be set up. At the beginning, and this notice is a non-clickable thing right here. It's only highlighting, it's not clickable. This is a title. So everything in here, these were resources for sets. This here is the main resource for text for sets. And then for each topic, switch out the word sets with whatever that name is. Let's go ahead and open it up and see what's in there. So in here it tells you something about why we care about sets, what they are. And this one's like everything else uses sets. This says what you should be able to do by the time we finish this topic. And this one here gives you some stuff of what to look at for in your book. This one here, since it was the very first topic, I didn't expect everybody to have the textbook yet, so I did actually do little PDFs of what you needed from the actual textbook there. No, that's not something I'm doing in the future, unless I have an extra handout, supplemental handout. Then went ahead and each time we had notes, went ahead and posted each of the notes we did each day and referenced the date as well. And then if there were any handouts, this one was a digital handout, went ahead and posted that here as well. Supplemental resources, these guys here are, I believe all of them, yeah, all of these guys here were actually YouTube videos that were applicable to the different things that we were covering each day. So if you wanted to have some videos attached to what we did, here are some supplemental videos that were, well, most of these were professionally done. So it was very concise, no extra ums and ahs like what I'm doing right now. The nice thing about this one is you don't have to hit back. You can actually hit this button right here, and it'll take us back to, unless I made a typo, sets. That's unfortunate. So then these here were the handouts. Then daily information. So each day has its own page, and for the activities that we did in class, I went ahead and put the activity we did in class here as well. For sets, we actually ended up only having one. I did have two prepped, we skipped one of them. So if you click on one of these, and I'll pick on August 31st here, just because that's where my cursor was. Notice what it has. It asks you to do something before class. This one said optional. And notice these guys are actually two little videos, and it gives you an approximate time of those videos. I am assuming you've watched those videos when you come to class. It then tells you what to expect during class. It gives you a little bit of information. This one says, hey, we're going to finish up sets, and we're going to then talk about matrices and sequences. We didn't get to matrices that time. In fact, based on the time, we're going to skip matrices and talk about it later in the course. Okay. And it also gave a link to the handouts for that day. And if there was going to be an actual activity on Ziteboard, it would give you the link right here as well. At the bottom, it gives the resource links from the class. These are just general resources to the lecture notes, where the lecture notes will live, where any resources will live, where the homework will live, and then where any quizzes are. Notice quizzes and homework. Yes, I know I hovered over the wrong one when I said the words. Do actually go to the general homework and quizzes page back in quick links, but both lecture notes and resources actually take you to the course material for sequences. Notice those were your handouts. Oh, we were covering mainly sequences, so this gave us your handouts and your supplemental resources. So here's videos, etc. Now this one, August 31st, is actually housed both inside of sets as well as right here inside of sequences, which is why this one went ahead and jumped us back to sequences, because the majority of the new things we did for that day was actually over here in sequences. Okay? So then notice in sequences we have the same pattern. We've got the resources some of the main videos to prep up what we're doing. It has more videos in there. And then the activity that we ended up doing was it here as well. And then assignments. We didn't talk about assignments yet. So in terms of assignments, I have it in 3 categories. The quiz. I have 1 quiz per topic, and this is sort of the core things to worry about. I have them set so that they'll be due before the homework. Then I have the homework that's attached to this section. Sequences was special because it wasn't really in your textbook, which is why there's just this one homework called sequences, and the other sections, topics, typically a topic will cover a couple sections in the textbook. Homework is for each section normally, not always. Okay. And then lastly, there's a reflection right here that deals with, hey, what did you learn? Was there any, and it's really mainly for you to see if there's any missing holes in terms of what you remembered about sequences. And then it just keeps on going on to the next topic. The matrix one is a little bit different just because that's more of a resource topic. We'll actually talk about that one more when we get to a future topic. Okay. But that right there is the basics in terms of how to find things inside of Canvas, plus a little bit extra about projects as well.